before sin existed, before the world knew pain, before humanity ever tasted regret, there was a garden, a place where perfection wasn't just a dream, it was reality. Silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of something waiting to begin. No wind, no time, no shadows, just vast stillness holding its breath for a single command. And then, a voice. Let there be life. From damp earth, something rose. Clay shaped with precision, molded with tenderness no human hands could match. The Creator gave form to dust until it became flesh. The first man's eyes opened slowly, and in them reflected the newborn sky. Adam, said the voice like invisible flame, you will be my image, my likeness. The man rose, his first breath mixed with the scent of Eden, a garden where time didn't exist. Crystal rivers wove between trees bearing fruit without effort. Birds of 1,000 colors filled the air, and every sound seemed to have its own meaning. Adam watched it all with the innocence of someone seeing for the first time. For days, maybe eternities. Adam walked through the garden, naming the creatures. The lion, strength. The deer, grace. The bird, freedom. But with every word he gave, he felt an emptiness he couldn't name. One afternoon, as the sun fell like liquid gold, Adam spoke to the Creator. Everything you made is perfect, but inside me, there's something incomplete. I see the animals have company, and I have no one when night falls. Silence. Then, a warm breeze swept through the garden. It is not good for man to be alone, said the divine voice. I will give you a companion. Adam felt deep sleep invade him. While he slept, the Creator extended his hand. A rib was removed carefully, as if extracting a secret from the soul. From that spark of flesh and light, he formed a new being. When Adam awoke, he saw before him a figure, different, similar, yet new. Her skin was soft as dawn. Her eyes held the brightness of water that has never known pain. Who are you? Adam asked, his voice trembling. I am like you, but not the same, she responded. I am part of you, and you part of me. Then I will call you Eve, because from me you were taken, and with you, everything begins. The Creator's voice resonated, powerful and serene. Be one, grow, multiply, and fill the earth. All of this I have given you, except the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. From that you will not eat, because the day you do, you will die. Adam nodded. Eve listened in silence. Neither understood what it meant to die, because in Eden, such a word didn't exist. There was only fullness. The days passed with harmony that seemed eternal. Adam cultivated the gardens. Eve explored hidden paths among flowers that sang at dawn. When night fell, the Creator descended among them in the form of light, and they talked like friends beneath the tree of life. But within the human soul, something new began to sprout, curiosity. Eva observed the forbidden tree, tall, majestic, covered in golden fruits. She didn't feel desire, but a question she couldn't silence. Why is that tree different? She asked one day. Because God said so, Adam responded, and his word is enough. Eva lowered her gaze. She didn't insist. But in her mind, the seed of doubt was planted. Eden remained paradise, but perfection already had a small crack. That night, while they slept, an invisible shadow crossed the garden. The rivers kept flowing. The stars kept shining, and the Creator, in His wisdom, allowed the story to advance. Because even in perfection, there had to be choice. And in choice, everything would begin. Adam ran barefoot between the trees when something heavy launched itself at him. He fell onto the grass, let out a laugh, and found himself staring into golden eyes. "Lion, you won again," he said, gently pushing the animal's head. Eva appeared between the bushes, her hair moving as if the wind followed her. "I told you, you couldn't beat him in strength," she commented. "But if you call him by his name, he stops." She crouched next to the lion and spoke softly. "Gentle strength. Enough for today." The animal lay down, satisfied. Adam looked at Eva with something new, something he didn't yet know how to name. Admiration. They spent the morning touring the garden, greeted birds weaving nests, watched the elephant open paths, laughed when monkeys tried to imitate Adam's gestures. Their relationship grew without them knowing how to explain it. They walked together, not out of obligation, but because being apart felt uncomfortable. They sought each other with their gaze, shared every discovery. As evening fell, they sat by the river. Eva rested her head on his shoulder. There was no shame, no malice. Closeness was as natural as breathing. "When I wake up and don't see you, everything seems incomplete," Eve confessed. "The same happens to me," Adam responded. "Before I was alone and didn't know something was missing. Now, if you're not here, I feel a void right here." He touched his chest. Eve laughed softly. Then, "Don't go far without warning." That night, as stars appeared, the Creator's presence filled the garden. "My children," said the voice, "have you enjoyed the garden?" "Yes, Lord," Adam responded. "Everything is good." "The animals approach us without fear," Eve added. "It's as if they know we come from your hands." Then the Creator spoke with loving firmness. "Everything you see is for you. But remember the only rule I have given you. You will not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you eat from it, you will die. That is the only boundary. In the midst of so much freedom." Adam bowed his head. "We will obey, Lord." Eve nodded, though her eyes carried a question she didn't dare formulate. When the presence withdrew, the garden recovered its calm. But the silence was no longer the same. The words good, evil, and die remained floating in the air, like something unresolved. The next day, Adam and Eve walked farther than usual. They arrived at a clearing where light seemed to fall differently. In the center stood a tree that surpassed all others. Its fruits shone with a tone they had never seen. "It's this one," Eve whispered, "the tree of knowledge." They stayed at a distance. The animals stopped as if they'd found an invisible frontier. "We've never come this close," said Adam. "We've never had reason to," she responded, but didn't look away from the tree. For the first time, they noticed something in Eden didn't invite approach, but caution. "Look at its fruits," Eva said. "They seem to call to us." "Call us or test us," Adam said. "God gave us everything. If he forbade this, there must be a reason we don't understand." They stepped back, returned to walk among common trees, to taste permitted fruits. The tension dissolved. Paradise became light again. But that night, while Eva tried to sleep, something happened, a thought that didn't come from her, yet sounded familiar. If the fruit is so dangerous, why make it so beautiful? Eva opened her eyes, sitting up. The garden was silent. It was just my imagination, she murmured. That was the shift. For the first time, Eva began to distinguish between God's voice, her own, and something else. The morning seemed the same as all others, but the garden was too silent. Between the roots of the tree of knowledge, something moved with calculated slowness. A serpent, shining scales, intelligent eyes. Beautiful day to ask questions, it whispered. Eva had approached alone. She looked at the golden fruits with that mixture of respect and curiosity. "You shouldn't be so close, daughter of the earth," said the serpent, coiling at her eye level. Eva stepped back, surprised. "Can you speak?" "I can, if someone wants to listen," the serpent responded. "And you have many doubts." Eva's distrust lasted only an instant. She had never heard a lie in Eden. "God told us not to eat from this tree," she explained, "that we would die if we did." The serpent tilted its head, as if pitying a misinformed child. "Die? No, you will not die. God knows this. The day you eat from that fruit, your eyes will be opened. You will be like him, knowing good and evil." "Like him?" she repeated. "Look at yourself," the serpent continued. "You are beautiful, you are loved, but you still don't understand. He keeps for himself a type of knowledge. Haven't you ever wondered why?" Until that moment, Eva had thought the prohibition was just a test. Now the serpent insinuated that God was withholding something. "God is good," Eva answered. "Precisely. That's why you should want to be more like him," the serpent replied. Eva looked at the fruit. It didn't seem dangerous. It looked pleasant. Perfect. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I can no longer bear to see you living. Halfway," the serpent murmured. "I don't want you against God. I want you complete." Eva began to think that obeying without understanding was being incomplete. She extended her hand. Her fingers touched the fruit's skin. Nothing happened. She took it. "Could you let it go?" whispered an internal voice. "Could you move forward?" whispered the serpent. Eva took a small bite. The taste was intense, almost too real. Suddenly, everything seemed to gain weight. Colors became stronger, sounds sharper. She felt for the first time something like fear and pride together. "I haven't died," she said, breathing hard. "I told you," the serpent responded. "Now look around. Don't you see it differently?" Eva noticed things that hadn't bothered her before. The fragility of her body, the possibility of losing what she loved, the distance between her and the Creator. A new shadow settled in her consciousness. She looked toward Adam, carefree, laughing with the animals. For a moment, she thought about keeping silent, but the idea of being above him frightened her more. "Adam has to know," she murmured. She walked toward him with the fruit in hand. When he saw her, Adam smiled as always. "Eva, where were you?" He stopped upon noticing what she carried. What did you do?" "I tried the fruit," she said. "I didn't die, Adam. But something changed in here." She touched her chest. "It's as if I woke up. I don't want to be different from you. I don't want to walk alone in this." She extended the fruit toward him. There was a brief silence where the world seemed to hold its breath. Adam didn't reason only with his mind. He looked at his hands. his life. He looked at Eva. He remembered the emptiness before she existed. "If you fell, I'll fall with you," he whispered. "I won't leave you alone." He took the fruit and bit. The change was immediate. A wave of consciousness passed through him. Suddenly they looked at each other, and what before was natural became uncomfortable. They noticed they were naked, and this knowledge wasn't pure, but loaded with shame. "Cover yourself," Eva said, looking away. "You too," Adam responded. They ran between trees, tearing fig leaves to cover themselves. The animals watched in silence, not understanding why those who always moved freely now fled. Eden, for the first time, felt hostile. While they tied leaves over their bodies, they heard a familiar sound, the Creator's footsteps in the garden. Before, that sound was joy. Now, it was terror. "Adam," called the voice. "Where are you?" Adam swallowed. He hid behind a tree, dragging Eva with him. "Answer," Eva whispered, trembling. He took a deep breath. "I heard you in the garden and I was afraid," Adam said with a broken voice, "because I was naked. That's why I hid." The Creator's voice became graver, not from lack of love, but from the weight of truth. "Who taught you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree I commanded you not to eat from?" Eva closed her eyes. Adam felt the entire world tilt toward him. God knew what had happened, but was opening space for them to recognize their choice. Paradise was no longer the same. Disobedience had been discovered. "Have you eaten from the tree?" God asked. Adam looked at Eva, then at the ground. "The woman you gave me offered me the fruit and I ate," he said. Eva felt those words sink into her chest. It wasn't just guilt, it was rupture. "The serpent deceived me," she said, "and I ate." The silence after was different from all before. No peace in it, but solemn waiting. God's gaze turned toward the serpent. "Because you have done this," said the Lord, "you will be cursed. You will crawl on your belly and eat dust all the days of your life." The serpent trembled. Its legs shrank, disappearing. Its body stuck to the ground, forced to crawl. God continued, "And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." In the middle of judgment, a promise was planted. Eva didn't fully understand, but felt that somehow in the future there would be victory born from what today was being broken. Then the voice addressed her. "I will greatly multiply your pain in childbirth," God declared. "With pain, you will give birth to children." A pang ran through Eva's body. She didn't know what pain was, but the idea was enough to make her tremble. Until that moment, life had been only harmony. Now, bringing life would be accompanied by suffering. Then the Creator spoke to Adam. "Because you listened to your wife's voice and ate from the tree, cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat from it. It will produce thorns and thistles. By the sweat of your brow you will eat until you return to the ground. For dust you are, and to dust you will return." Each word fell like a blow. Adam understood that from now on, his relationship with the earth would be different. He wouldn't just plant. He would have to fight, die, return to dust, he murmured. He didn't die at that instant, and that was unexpected. The punishment wasn't immediate destruction, but a life marked by limits, effort, wear, and in the end, death. They didn't cease to exist, but ceased to be eternal in that state of innocence. They would live knowing that one day they would stop living. The garden reacted. The earth began to harden. Among flowers appeared the first thorns. Some animals that before approached confidently now stepped back. Eva brought a hand to her belly. Pain. To bring life, she whispered. Work. To not die of hunger, Adam said. Before this was a gift. Now it will be a battle. The balance of paradise broke before their eyes. A roar that no longer sounded friendly. A branch that broke for no reason. A bird that chose to fly away. God looked at both of them. His voice, though firm, wasn't without sadness. This is not what I wanted for you, he said, but it is the fruit of your choice. You wanted to know good and evil, and now you know it. Adam felt a knot in his throat. Lord, he said, unable to look at him. If we could go back, you cannot, the Creator responded. Time doesn't return. But what you broke, one day I will restore, not today, not here. But my purpose doesn't end in this judgment. Those mysterious words remained floating like a burning ember among ruin. They didn't change the punishment, but prevented the story from closing only in tragedy. God approached them in a new way. They trembled, expecting another blow, perhaps death. Instead, they felt on their bodies the Creator's hands, covering them with something warm. They looked at their garments, no longer poorly tied leaves, but tunics of skin. To clothe them, something in the garden had had to die. Even in your fall, I will not leave you naked, God said. But remember, what before cost nothing, now has a price. Adam looked at Eva for the first time, clothed. For the first time, conscious of the weight of his decisions. She raised her eyes to him with tears that shame couldn't stop. I failed you, she whispered. We failed together, he responded, and together we will carry this. The wind blew, but was no longer just a caress. It brought an unknown cold. Paradise remained beautiful, but no longer belonged to them in the same way. There was distance between them and the Creator, between them and the earth, between them and themselves. The day of exile didn't begin with thunder. It began with strange, dense silence, as if the garden knew what was going to happen. Adam woke, startled. He had dreamed of the tree of life, with its fruits close within reach, and something invisible stopping him. Next to him, Eva slept restlessly. Eva, he called. She opened her eyes slowly. Dark circles where before there was only light. That dream again? She asked. Yes. Every time I try to approach the tree, something blocks me, as if it's no longer ours. Before they could say more, God's presence filled the garden, not with gentleness, but with solemnity that made the air tremble. Adam, said the Creator's voice. Eve. They stood without daring to flee, but unable to look at him directly. Now the man has become like one of us, knowing good and evil, God said, and we will not allow him to extend his hand. Take also from the tree of life, and live forever in this state. Adam felt emptiness in his stomach. What does that mean, Lord? He asked. The answer was clear, direct. It means you can no longer remain in Eden. The words fell like a final sentence, Eva brought her hand to her mouth. "You're casting us from home?" she asked, trembling. "The garden was created for innocence," the Creator said. "You chose a different path. I will not let you live eternally broken. You must leave. Work the ground from which you were taken. There you will live, there you will weep, there you will also find small seeds of grace." Exile wasn't just punishment, it was also protection. Suddenly, the sky lit up. 2 figures appeared near the garden's entrance. Angels, with serious countenances, dressed in light. Behind them, another figure materialized. A cherubim, with wings that seemed to cover the horizon. In his hands, a flaming sword turned upon itself, seeking any attempt to return. The flames consumed nothing, but cut through the air with an almost unbearable hum. Adam swallowed. "There's no going back, is there?" he whispered. "No," said one of the angels. "From today, the way to the tree of life is closed." Eva looked at the garden one last time. She recognized every corner. The river where she had laughed with Adam. The clearing where she had heard the serpent's voice. Her memories pressed against her chest. "Can we say goodbye?" she asked. The Creator's response wasn't a phrase. It was a sensation. A final, invisible embrace. They felt the same tenderness from the day they were formed, mixed now with the Father's sadness. "I will not abandon you out there," God said one last time, "but it won't be like here. You will no longer walk with me in the same way. Even so, my voice will continue to reach you. Exile wouldn't be absolute solitude, but a distance that could still be filled with seeking." The moment arrived. The angels advanced to guide them. The cherubim raised the sword. The fire illuminated Adam and Eva's faces, revealing their tears, their fear, their mixture of guilt and attachment. "It is time," said one of the angels. They walked. Each step felt like tearing out a root. They crossed the invisible limit of Eden, and the ground changed beneath their feet. The grass ceased to be perfect. Stones appeared. The earth was drier, the wind harsher. When they crossed completely, they turned around. The garden's entrance was now guarded by the cherubim, wings extended, the flaming sword spinning, marking an absolute no. "We'll never be able to return," Eva said, her voice broken. "Not to this place," Adam responded. "But maybe someday, in another way." To him. They stood there, facing the sealed frontier, until the pain of looking was too much. Then Adam took a breath, clenched his fists, and looked toward the unknown terrain. Ahead of them, the world was harder, trees less abundant, ground that demanded work. But there was also something more. Space, terrain to travel, stories to begin, children to be born. "What do we do now?" Eva asked, wiping tears. Adam looked at his hands, made for work. "Now we do what he said. Cultivate the earth, fight against the thorns, learn to live with what we broke, without forgetting what we once had." Eva brought her hand to her belly. She wasn't pregnant yet, but God's words about children, pain, and descendants resonated within her. "If there are going to be children," she said, "I don't want them to only inherit our guilt. I want them to also inherit hope." Adam approached and took her face in his hands. "You are not just the woman who ate the fruit," he said. "You are the mother of those who will come. We will tell them about God, even if we don't see him as before."
We'll tell them about the garden, but also about our fall, so they know that He loved us even when we failed. Eva breathed deeply. Something in her straightened. Then we won't just be those who lost Eden, she said. We'll be those who started outside. They took the first steps into the land. The ground was uneven. The breeze brought new smells. In the distance, fertile land seemed to promise harvests. It wouldn't be easy. There would be fatigue, arguments, long nights. But at the same time, there was something Eden had never given them. The opportunity to love and trust in the midst of difficulty, not just in perfection. When the sun began to set, Adam and Eve stopped on a small elevation. From there, they could see the distant silhouette of Eden, guarded by fire. They sat together. "Do you think someday the world will return to how it was?" Eva asked. "I don't know," Adam responded. "But He said His purpose doesn't end here. Maybe we won't see the complete restoration,
But maybe someone from our descendants will." Eva rested her head on his shoulder. "Then let's walk for them too," she said quietly. The sky darkened. A star shone brighter than the others. Adam looked up. "We are not alone," he murmured. And so, far from paradise, but not from God's reach, humanity's new life began. Not in a perfect garden, but in a wounded world where, even among thorns, hope would continue to sprout. But here's what most people miss. The story of Adam and Eve shows us something many don't want to admit. The problem didn't start with the fruit. It started with distrust. God gave them an entire paradise, direct presence of His voice, freedom to walk without fear. And in the midst of all that, He put only one limit, one single no, not as a whim, but as protection. Obeying wasn't living as slaves. It was choosing to trust the one who saw farther. But the serpent enters through the most dangerous crack in the human heart: doubt about God's character. The enemy didn't just question the commandment. He questioned the goodness of the one who gave it, insinuating that God was hiding something. And that repeats until today. Every time it seems to us that God's commands take something away instead of caring for us. When Eva looks at the fruit, she no longer sees it as dangerous, but as an opportunity to be more. And there's the deception, thinking that moving away from God makes us grow. But every time man decides to be God of himself, he ends up broken inside, loaded with shame, disguised as self-sufficiency. Adam and Eve, by disobeying, didn't just break a rule. They broke a relationship. Sin isn't just a list of bad things. It's an "I know more than you" directed at God. And that has accompanied us ever since. We know what's right. We read. We listen. We feel in our conscience that something doesn't add up. But we choose the opposite because it seems faster, more pleasant, easier. That's why this story isn't an old tale. It's a mirror where you see our way of treating God. Many want blessing without obedience, protection without surrender, comfort without repentance. And the truth is, obedience doesn't eliminate God's love, but it does define how we live that love. The detail is that even after disobedience, God doesn't disappear. On the contrary, He approaches and asks, "Where are you?" Not because He doesn't know the physical place, but so the human being sees where he has ended up when he decides to walk without Him. God doesn't force obedience. But he doesn't cover up the consequences either. He respects our freedom so much that he allows us to taste the bitter flavor of our decisions. But at the same time, he's so merciful that he seeks us even when we hide. The story reminds us that obeying God isn't a blind act, but a response to his character. If I believe God is good, wise, just, and loving, then his no's are also good, wise, just, and loving, even if my desire screams other ways. Every time you encounter a limit from God on your life, whether in morality, sexuality, forgiveness, justice, money, how you treat others, you're standing before your own tree. The real question isn't whether the fruit is attractive. The question is, do you trust more in what you see or in what God says? Obeying doesn't mean feeling like obeying all the time. It means choosing God's will, even when my will wants something else. It means admitting that he sees what I don't see. Adam and Eve show us that a single act of disobedience, based on a lie about God, was enough to break the perfect design. Our life today, marked by pain, injustice, confusion, is a distant consequence of that first rupture. But at the same time, every act of obedience we do today is a small no to the serpent and a yes to God's original purpose. So the reflection is simple and hard. There's no obedience without trust. There's no trust without knowing God. And there's no true freedom away from the one who created us. When God tells you no, don't ask first, what am I going to lose? But what is he protecting me from? And remember, every time you choose to obey, even without understanding everything, you're doing what they didn't do, believing that God's voice is safer than any voice that promises you to be like God, in exchange for turning your back on your Creator. If we look at what happened after their disobedience, we discover that sin doesn't just bring guilt. It brings rupture in all directions, with God, with oneself, with others, with creation. As soon as they eat, they feel shame, they hide. And when God confronts them, there's no humble confession, but a chain of accusations. Adam blames Eva, Eva blames the serpent. Deep down, there's even a complaint against God. The woman you gave me. We sin freely, but want to suffer as victims. What's impressive is that even so, God doesn't destroy them. He judges them, but also clothes them, gives them tunics of skin. That gesture is profoundly symbolic. It reveals that after sin, the human being can no longer cover his shame with his own resources. He needs something from God, something that has a cost. In our lives, we do the same when we invent our own leaves, excuses, appearances, religiosity without real change. And even so, God comes, confronts us, shows us the seriousness of what we did, but also offers us a better covering, a grace stronger than our shame. The judgment God pronounces isn't a tantrum. It's the just response of a creator who can't pretend nothing happened. If sin had no consequences, love wouldn't have value either. When God speaks of the pain Eva will experience in childbirth, of the sweat on Adam's face, of the earth producing thorns, he's not inventing arbitrary punishment. He's showing what happens when humanity decides to live disconnected from the source of life. Existence becomes harder. Beauty continues to exist, but mixed with thorns. Work continues. But it's no longer just joy, it's also weariness. And although we don't like it, that mixture is exactly what we see today. moments of joy wrapped in pain, deep relationships marked by wounds. We could blame God and say, why did he make a world like this? But the Bible answers that the world wasn't created like this. It was twisted by sin, and even that twisted world, God decided not to abandon it, but to enter it, bear the weight of our disobedience, and begin a rescue story that was already hinted at when he spoke to the serpent about a descendant who would crush its head. Even in judgment, there was mercy. Even in exile, there was presence. Even in consequence, there was promise. The story of Adam and Eve doesn't end with failure. It ends with them beginning a new stage outside Eden, less comfortable, but not without God. He continues speaking, continues accompanying, continues caring, and that reminds us that although sin takes us out of places we should never have left, it cannot take us out of the reach of God's mercy. Obeying isn't just avoiding punishments. It's living aligned with the reality of how the world was designed. It's walking hand in hand with the one who knows how to transform our desert into a sowing field. The exile from Eden teaches us a hard truth. Disobeying God doesn't just change what we do, it changes where we live. Adam and Eve weren't just expelled from a physical garden, but from a way of life where everything was provision, closeness, and rest. Sin always creates distance, not because God stops loving, but because the human being no longer knows how to inhabit the presence without hiding. When the angels close Eden's entrance and the cherubim raises the flaming sword, it's not cruelty, it's protection. Living forever in a state of guilt would have been a greater condemnation. Leaving paradise meant hard work, pain, weariness, fear. But it also meant something Eden had never demanded: daily faith, constant dependence. Many want God while living in Eden, while everything flows, while there's peace. But true faith is revealed outside the garden, when the ground is hard, when the sweat is real, when life doesn't cooperate. Adam and Eve had to learn that God isn't just the God of perfection, but also the God of dust, of weariness, and of the long road. Our life isn't a constant paradise. It's a process full of stumbles where every morning we have to decide whether we obey or not. The detail is that even far from Eden, God doesn't cut the story. He doesn't leave them without purpose. And there appears hope. Obedience doesn't erase the past, but it can change the future. Many live trapped in the idea that since they already failed, it's no longer worth trying. But the story demonstrates the opposite. Humanity is born precisely outside Eden, in a wounded world. And even so, God continues speaking, giving promises. Every day that Adam worked the earth, every time Eva endured the pain, every time they chose to keep walking together, they were saying something powerful. We failed, but we don't renounce God. That's key. Because obedience isn't perfection. It's persistence. It's getting up after the fall with the heart aligned. The cherubim with the sword reminds us that you can't go back as if nothing happened, but also that God guards the correct paths, and that lost access isn't definitive. Living outside Eden confronts us with a daily choice. We can curse the hard ground and rebel, or we can work it, trusting that although now there are thorns, God remains faithful. Obeying God in a broken world doesn't mean everything will turn out well immediately. It means we don't walk alone.
that even in hardness there's direction. Adam and Eve teach us that disobedience opens doors that should never have been opened, but also that obedience, even after error, keeps open the only door that really matters: the relationship with God. Losing Eden was painful, but losing God would have been the true death, and that never happened. So here's what you need to understand.
This isn't just an ancient story about two people who made a mistake. This is your story, my story, the story of every person who has ever lived. We all stand before our own tree, our own temptation, our own choice between trusting God or trusting ourselves. And the question isn't whether you'll be tempted. The question is, what will you choose when you are? Will you believe the serpent's whisper that God is holding something back from you? Or will you trust that every no from God is actually a yes to something better? Will you reach for the fruit that promises to make you like God? Or will you bow your knee to the God who already made you in His image? Because here's the truth they don't tell you. The fruit always looks good. The lie always sounds reasonable. The shortcut always seems faster. But the cost, oh, the cost is always higher than you think. Adam and Eve traded paradise for knowledge, intimacy with God for independence from God, eternal life for the knowledge of death, and humanity has been paying that price ever since. But here's the twist. Even in judgment, there was mercy. Even in exile, there was presence. Even in consequence, there was promise. He will crush your head, God told the serpent. A promise wrapped in mystery, a hope planted in tragedy. That one day, someone from Eve's descendants would come. Someone who would succeed where Adam failed. Someone who would obey where humanity disobeyed. Someone who would crush the serpent's head and restore what was lost in the garden. That someone, you probably already know his name, but that's a story for another time. For now, the question remains, what will you do with your tree? What will you do when the serpent whispers? What will you do when obedience costs you something you want? Because the story of Adam and Eve isn't over. It continues in you, in every choice you make, in every temptation you face, in every moment you decide between God's voice and the serpent's lie. Choose wisely, because paradise may be lost, but hope is not. If this story moved something in your heart, if you see yourself in Adam and Eve's struggle, type Amen in the comments. Let me know your walk in this journey too. And listen, if you think Adam and Eve's story was intense, you haven't seen anything yet. Because what comes next? What happens when one man stands alone against an entire kingdom? When fire falls from heaven at the command of a prophet? When death itself cannot claim God's chosen one? That story is waiting for you right now. Elijah, the man of fire, the prophet who called down flames from the sky, the one who stood against 450 false prophets, alone. The man who never tasted death, but ascended to heaven in a chariot of flame. His story makes Adam and Eve look like the beginning, because Elijah shows us what happens when a human being decides to obey God, no matter the cost. Fire, prophecy, miracles, ascension, kings trembling, nations shaking, heaven opening. This isn't just history. This is the raw power of God, unleashed through one obedient man. Click now and watch what happens when someone chooses differently than Adam. When someone says yes to God, even when everything screams, no. Elijah, the man of fire. Your next journey begins now.